Hello and welcome to Business Wrap. I am Arun Sharma. Well, in today's special edition of Business Wrap, we would be discussing about the aviation sector. Well, India's aviation sector is the 9th largest aviation sector in the world. And it is expected that aviation sector of India could become the 3rd largest aviation sector in the world by 2020. And to discuss the aviation part, we are joined by our guest in our studio, who is the member of CII, National Committee of Civil Aviation Sector, Mr. Ankur Bhatia. So welcome to Business Wrap. And before we start our program, we look at this watch out of the aviation sector. Well, various policy measures initiated by the government for the aviation sector, but now the civil aviation sector could not do much, and it has gradually started giving results, whatever the policy decisions which were taken. Now let's take a look at this report.
India's aviation industry continues to be held back by high operating costs, insufficient infrastructure and other challenges as passenger traffic continues to slump. Domestic air passenger traffic fell for the 10th consecutive month in February, with almost a 3.6% decline in the first 2 months of this year compared with the same period last year, amid a slowdown in economic growth and the absence of Kingfisher Airlines from the market. Slow investment in infrastructure has hampered what real potential India's aviation sector has. Although India has a burgeoning population of more than 1.2 million, a tiny percentage of its residents travel by air, with most people favouring rail and road transport. Airlines have embarked on a price war, slashing fares heavily in a bid to fill empty seats. Meanwhile, there are grave doubts about whether Kingfisher, which has been grounded since October, will ever fly again. The International Air Transport Association has highlighted India's need to improve in areas including the safety of its aviation industry to grow the sector. Aviation and aviation-related tourism drives 1.5% of India's GDP and supports jobs for 1.8% of the workforce. A stronger aviation sector will be a catalyst for even wider economic benefits. Fuel costs make up about a third of airlines' costs globally, while in India they account for 45%. The low-cost carrier AirAsia, which has teamed up with Tata to set up an airline in India, hopes to launch by June and might turn around the aviation sector. Business Desk, DD News.
Well, Mr. Bhatia, you heard that report. Now, you've been tracking aviation sector very closely. Any two good news and two bad news which you see is that for the aviation sector in past 1 year?
I think the good news is particularly the way the ministry is looking at this industry right now, specifically with the FDI coming in and allowing foreign airlines to come and set up either new airlines or buy into the existing airlines, because obviously that will give a big impetus of newer carriers coming in and new capacities getting inducted to the market. The other good news is that we still have a lot of potential in our country for aviation, particularly in the regional routes. As of today, our guesstimate is that approximately 30 to 35 million people go by air within our country, of a population base of 300 million people who can actually fly. Now, those people who want to get into these sectors are particularly the ones who want to fly regional routes. Even today, state capitals such as Lucknow, Chandigarh, Dehradun, these capitals are also not connected by air. So once all these things starts to happen, there is a huge impetus of growth expected.
Mr. Bhatia, I remember a time in early 2000, mobile phones were used as a luxurious item and not as a necessity. Today's era of aviation sector, now aviation or the aircraft are used as a luxurious item and not as a necessity. Do you think something needs to be done so that the aviation sector is looked as a necessity and a luxurious sector basically?
See, in a country of our size where road connectivity is not the best in terms of infrastructure as available around the world, I think air connectivity can play a vital role in enabling growth, specifically in tier 3, tier 4 towns. towns, because obviously that is the only way for people to travel to those towns. The idea here is that initially when air travel used to happen, it used to cut down time for people to travel going internationally and stuff like that. But today's day and age, air travel is like another means of transportation between 2 points. And I think it's very important for people to have a look at that particular the air travel in this direction, because once that happens, then the other fallout of connectivity, air connectivity, of easy connectivity between 2 points only enables growth, I mean, economic growth in the regions which get into this ambit. And I'm not talking about just tourism, I'm also talking about more investments which can be driven into regional, into interiors of India.
What are the challenges the aviation sector is facing as of now?
See, I think one of the major challenges today is first of all, the fuel, the cost of the fuel, because that's being taxed by the local states. It's not a subject of central taxation. The taxation there varies from every state to state. So if that gets sorted out to a certain extent, I mean, that will help for sure. The other thing is infrastructure is still a major concern, because India during the British time had actually built up 400 different airports across the country. Now these 400 airports, not a lot of them are actually functional, which were these World War II airports. Now, if they are given the right infrastructure to set in, and again, I mean, not the airports as by whatever is available, but those airports where economic growth is possible, where regional traffic is possible, where regional hubs can be created, if that can happen, then definitely it will definitely help the sector grow.
Now also one more thing. Now, Kingfisher Airlines, there was a very silent dismissal of the Kingfisher Airlines. Do you think this is going to impact the entire sentiment of the aviation sector as of now?
Well, it has impacted already, because Kingfisher Airlines went down 4-5 months back, and I think that was one of our signals of slowdown in our country as well. Please keep in mind, aviation growth generically, if it is not done into other areas of newer opportunities or whatever, it is very much dependent upon the economic growth of the country, and the economic growth of the country as of now is not the best. So that is why you see that happening of a negative growth as compared to last year. Now, I think what is also very much required is when the new airlines come in, they should work in a more responsible manner rather than to discount fares to a level which does not make them sustainable, over long term, or makes also other airlines come down on prices. So I think these things have to be looked into while India is charting out its program for growth in this sector.
But Mr. Bhatia, in last 2 years we have seen that whatever demands the aviation sector was looking for, or they were asking for, like allowing the 49% of FDI, allowing importing of this ATF fuel, everything was fulfilled by the government. But then also there is negative sentiment still in the aviation sector. Now, what more is the aviation sector looking for now?
As I mentioned to you, yes, it was done. So FDI is there for sure. I don't think that once FDI takes on, obviously other airlines wanting to come into India are not, as I mentioned to you earlier, it is not just specific to our aviation sector only. I think the overall sentiment of the country will play a major impact of whether somebody wants to come into our country and actually set up business as well. That is not the best right now. Of course, the general elections happening next year, and again, I think there would be more stabilization coming in the future. But having said that, yes, those demands have been met, and I think government has taken positive steps. And as mentioned to you, this is one of the major things which is now allowing airlines to even think of actually setting up subsidiaries or investing into the infrastructure in our country.
But Mr. Bhatia, do you think that Kingfisher Airlines can revive as of now? Do you think, because a company having a debt of almost 7,500 crore rupees, do you think the revival of Kingfisher Airlines is possible as of now?
It all depends upon the owners. Of there are multiple owners of that. Of course, there are banks, there's UB Group, there's the other people who wrote what exactly they want to do with that particular asset as it stands right now. I don't think that that particular asset will be easy target or easy sellable commodity in this particular time, because obviously if somebody wants to set up a new operation in our country, it's much more, I don't think you'll have to spend that much amount of money to do that, because and they are also not flying. So having said that the airline is still not shut down. They also have employees on roll into the airline. So I think it's only the future is going to tell whether the airline will fly back again or not.
Mr. Bhatia, one thing confuses me, that is the aviation sector not only in India but across the globe is not generating profits on the balance sheet.
Right.
What kind of business model or what kind of thinking the managers or the CEOs or the owners need to adopt at this point of time so that the airline company can be in a profitable as far as the balance sheet is concerned?
See, one thing what you mentioned very correctly, that if you were to sum up the totals of all the losses and the profits of aviation industry ever since aviation, commercial aviation started to happen, you will come to a negative or a zero figure. Now, I think the reason for that is that people become over ambitious. People try to change their plans more than often. A lot of these airlines were initially funded by the governments, which didn't have focus on specifically on aviation, and I think a lot of those losses are coming from that.
Okay.
However, having said that, there are successful examples across the globe of airlines who have been working for 10, 20, 15, 20 years, who are in positive and who've never put in losses. So there are ways and means of actually running that business.
Okay.
As long as you run that business for the business, and as long as your visions are clear of what you want to do with it, I don't think that there is any reason for any newer entrant to actually worry that they will have losses. Specifically in our country, as I mentioned to you, there is a huge potential. Those 30 million people can actually go up to 300 million people, as long as we are flying the right direction, the right planes and right products.
All right, we'll not talk about the green picture. We'll go to the next story now, about the Tata Aviation story. Now, government has cleared the AirAsia's proposal to start the passenger airline in India in partnership with the Tata Group with an investment of 81 crore rupees. The proposal was cleared by the FIPB, that is Foreign Investment Promotion Board. AirAsia would set up a joint venture with the Tata Sons and Telstra Trade Place of the Indian investor Arun Bhatia to launch a new Indian airline. All right, we'll try to get back to that story. I think there's some technical problem in that story. But meanwhile, talking about the AirAsia deal, something good happening in the aviation sector. How do you look at the AirAsia deal with the Tatas as of now?
I think it's a very positive move as well. So of course, consumers in India will have another choice of flying another airline across the metro cities, and AirAsia has done a successful model across Asia. And I don't see a reason for me to doubt or the industry to doubt that they will not be able to perform in our country.
Mr. Bhatia, but would you have been happy if Tata Sons would have come directly to the aviation sector rather than coming up with this partnership?
As I mentioned to you, AirAsia has got all that experience. Of course, Tata's also have great amount of experience on that. I think it's Tata's strategy to actually enter this particular business the way they have actually entered, and I think we should respect that. And we should just wait for the airline to come and fly.
Mr. Bhatia, do you think so the price war kind of scenario will also come in the Indian aviation sector, because the price war will start now from now onwards?
The price war is already existing. Despite the fact that Kingfisher went down, we also had examples of airlines cutting fares or giving discounts for a 60-day pre-booking and all. So we had this happen in February, where the sentiment was changed and we had a lot of people actually buying. Unfortunately, when it happened in March, despite the fact that there is a price war happening, as I even talk to you right now in the marketplace, there is no demand right now which is getting created from the marketplace, and I think that is mainly because of the industrial growth. The whole potential of actually people to travel is not sort of picking up. With a new carrier coming in, and depending upon what time of the year they actually launch themselves, we will get into obviously a situation when they do that. They will do some kind of a pricing or some kind of a deal to actually gain market share quickly, and I think that is very natural for any new entrant to come into the marketplace.
But Mr. Bhatia, what's wrong with Jet and Etihad? Why is the deal not taking place?
Well, I don't think I am the right person to actually comment on that why the deal is not taking place, or what the discussions are happening between the two entities. All I can say that both are great airlines. They've got great potential for a partnership, and once that partnership happens, I think both the airlines will go to profit tremendously of the partnership.
Okay, we are also forgetting one more airline, that is Air India. Air India has seen a very tough time in last 2 years, but then also the Air India is now gradually recovering, has started generating profits as far as revenue terms is concerned. Your outlook for the Air India as of now, the Maharaja?
Well, they are doing very well for the time being right now, given the current environment. The space which was vacated by Kingfisher Airlines for the business class or the high-end traffic has been captured to a very large extent by Air India. A lot of that business is actually moved to Air India as well. Having said that, the bottom end of business, which the low-cost carriers are pushing in, they are always squeezing Air India for that. But I think the strategy which Air India is implementing right now, in order to keep their fares consistent, in order to ensure that they have profitability, and also to put in their flights in areas where it is potential, I think that should continue, and that will pay off very well for the airline.
Fair enough. We'll try to go to the story now. The government has cleared AirAsia's proposal to start a passenger airline in India in partnership with the Tata Group with an investment of 81 crore rupees. The proposal was cleared by the FIPB, that is Foreign Investment Promotion Board. AirAsia would set up a joint venture with the Tata Sons and Telstra Trade Place of Indian investor Arun Bhatia to launch a new Indian airline.
FDI in aviation was opened in September last year, but not many takers came forward so far. The first such offer has now come. It is special in the sense that one of the Asia's largest low-cost airline, AirAsia, has shown interest in Indian market. The Malaysian-based company has sought government's permission for a joint venture with Tata Group. The stakes will be AirAsia 49%, Tata Sons 30% and Arun Bhatia of Telstra Trade Place 21%. Three parties signed the partnership agreement. The joint venture plans to operate from Chennai. It will focus on providing domestic connectivity to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. AirAsia, though its operation based in Thailand and Malaysia, Tiruchirappalli and Kolkata from several destinations in the Asian region. This is also a big boost for the government, who opened up the sector but was facing a criticism of policy paralysis. AirAsia founder and Group Chief Executive Tony Fernandez said, "We have carefully evaluated developments in India over the past few years and strongly believe that the current environment is perfect to introduce AirAsia's low fares, which stimulate travel and grow the market. It means there is something to cheer for all." The Tata Group has a reputation of being an affordable 1 lakh rupees car nano to the middle class of India. If this group shakes hand with Asia's biggest budget airline and aim to connect the smaller cities, also it sounds a new beginning. For Tata Group also, it will be second foray to enter the aviation sector. Late JRD Tata had launched Air India before the independence. The news comes 2 months after Air India denied bidding for a joint stake in no-frills carrier SpiceJet. The Tata Group holds nearly 6% equity in SpiceJet but has maintained that it was only a financial investor in the budget carrier. The development also comes at a time when low-cost tickets bonanza was announced by Jet and other budget airlines are likely to follow. Business Desk, TD News.
Well, that was a story on the AirAsia. Now, Mr. Bhatia, your final comments about the not only AirAsia but about the entire aviation sector in India. Do you think by 2020 India's aviation sector would be the third largest in the entire world?
I am definitely confident about that, because the paving work, the pave work of that actually has been laid by the government by doing all these policy initiatives. If there is industrial growth and the sentiment of investment returns to normalcy in our country, I'm sure there is no doubt that the aviation sector in India is going to go to places.
All right, Mr. Bhatia, thank you so much for joining us on our special program on the aviation sector. Thank you so much. And now we are joined by stock analyst Kunal Saraogi to give us the outlook of the aviation sector. Mr. Saraogi, welcome to Business Wrap. Now, your outlook of the aviation sector as of now. Do you think the aviation sector in India is recovering as of now?
Well, I definitely think that there has been some recovery, but I don't see this recovery going forward too much, is because I think that the overall structure of this industry is such that they are burdened with huge debt. So I don't really expect too much of a recovery, but yes, from the lows, they definitely have recovered.
But Mr. Saraogi, any of your favorite pick as far as the aviation companies are concerned? I mean, apart from Kingfisher Airlines, would you be betting on SpiceJet or Jet Airways as of now?
Yeah, I definitely like Jet Airways. Now, of course, there is this talk about the deal with Etihad, but one has to wait for some clarity on that. But I think that if you have to choose one stock out of the pack, I think it will be Jet Airways.
All right, but then also Kunal Saraogi, how do you look at the deal between the Tatas and the AirAsia? Do you think this deal would change the entire aviation sector in country like India?
Definitely. I think one new entrant can completely change the dynamics of the business, although most companies are still struggling. So one will have to wait and see how this new setup does. So I think it will be some time before we have some clarity on which company emerges as the final winner in this race.
Mr. Saraogi, now government is also focusing on developing more and more airports in the country. Now, your favorite picks as far as the infrastructure company who are developing these airports in the country?
Well, if you talk about the listed space, one biggest name that we have is GMR, and GMR has done really well in terms of their airports in Delhi and in Hyderabad. But if you look at their stock's performance, the stock, of course, doesn't reflect the kind of work that they've done. And I still am not very bullish on the stock per se, because it's got other problems, and I don't really expect too much of an upside for the stock. But if one has to see a very long-term picture, maybe a 4 to 5 year picture, then definitely one could buy GMR at the current levels with a target of about 35 rupees.
All right, but very finally, Mr. Saraogi, what is your outlook for? I mean, I know Air India is not at all listed in the stock markets, but do you feel happy about the Air India? That is, Air India is recovering as of now from its debts. The infusion of the money has been done up to an extent of 30,000 crore rupees. Do you think that Air India is recovering as of now from its losses now?
Well, I think so, provided the money is well utilized and the problems that the national carrier faces are addressed. I think over a period of time, I think Air India might revive. We have seen similar kind of recoveries in other countries, but I think there is a need for more will and more transparency in terms of what Air India will do from here on.
All right, talking about the Air Asia deal and the Air Asia and the Tata's deal, basically, do you think the price war will also start in the country like India, and that will impact the aviation companies in India?
Definitely. I think if a price war starts off, already I think there is a pressure on prices, and if that continues, the margins will be under pressure for most of these airline players. And if margins remain as low as they are, and if they get lower, I think that may not be a very good news for these companies, and you might see their stock prices also reflecting that.
Mr. Saraogi, now 2 years back, the demands of aviation sector were the FDI in the aviation sector up to an extent of 49%, and also allowing import, directly importing the ATF from abroad. The question lies here is that now what exactly the aviation sector demanding from the government?
Well, definitely, if you look at the overall structure, I think this is one of their biggest costs. The fuel is one of the biggest costs for any airline, and that remains a grey area, is because we still don't have too much of a clarity on how the prices will impact. But I think besides that, it's also about demand outlook, which I think will continue to grow over a 5-year horizon. So if the demand picks up and if it's able to take care of all of these pressures, these companies might do well. So one will have to have a very long-term view if you are betting on the aviation sector.
All right, Mr. Saraogi, thank you so much for joining us on Business Wrap. And that's all in today's edition of Aviation Special. Thank you for joining us. Namaskar.